The Awakening Protocol. The dig site on Terra 9 looked like any other dead world excavation. Rocky ground, thin atmosphere, and the skeletal remains of what the Galactic Archaeological Commission had classified as primitive pre-spaceflight civilization ruins. Dr. Kethvar adjusted his breathing apparatus and gazed across the scattered stone foundations with the practiced eye of someone who had catalogued 100 extinct species. "Another dead end," muttered his assistant, a young vegan named Silthi. "These primitive structures show no signs of advanced technology, just basic metallurgy and crude construction techniques." Kethvar nodded, his forearms working efficiently to pack their scanning equipment. The Zephyrian scientist had spent 3 decades studying the remnants of lost civilizations, and Terra 9 appeared to be just another footnote in galactic history. According to their records, the species here had barely achieved nuclear fission before wiping themselves out in some ancient war. "Wait," Silthi called out, her scanner beeping frantically. "There's something beneath the main structure. Energy readings are... That can't be right." The readings showed a massive power source buried deep underground, still active after what their dating suggested was over 10,000 years. Kethvar's curiosity overcame his caution. Within hours they had excavated enough to reveal a metallic surface that gleamed like new despite its impossible age. The metal was unlike anything in their databases. It seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. When Silthi accidentally touched the surface with her bare hand, something extraordinary happened. The entire structure hummed to life. Deep beneath the surface of Terra 9, in a chamber that existed in 11 dimensions simultaneously, Commander Sarah Chen felt the first stirring of consciousness she had experienced in 10 millennia. The quantum stasis field that had preserved her began its shutdown sequence, and with it, a cascade of awakening protocols spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Sarah's eyes opened to displays showing her vital signs, the status of Earth's core facilities, and most importantly, the current state of galactic civilization. What she saw made her jaw clench with barely contained fury. The Krathari Empire, ruling over 300 systems with technology they claimed to have invented. The Vegan Collective, using faster-than-light communication methods that bore suspicious similarity to human quantum entanglement theories. The Zephyrian Federation, masters of terraforming techniques that were clearly based on human atmospheric processors. They had not just forgotten humanity, they had stolen everything. Sarah stood slowly, her body adapting instantly to full consciousness. The stasis chamber had not merely preserved her, it had enhanced her. 10,000 years of calculated evolution, guided by Earth's most advanced artificial intelligences, had transformed her into something that transcended baseline humanity. "Computer, status report," she said, her voice echoing in the vast underground complex. "Welcome back, Commander Chen. Galactic survey complete. Current alien civilizations have achieved a combined technological rating of 7.2 on the human scale. They have unknowingly been using human technology as the foundation for their entire civilization. Earth's deep core remains undisturbed. All sleeper protocols are active and awaiting your command." Sarah walked to the central command display, where holographic images showed her the current state of the galaxy. Hundreds of star systems, all controlled by species that had built their empires on the bones of human colonies. They had found humanity's abandoned outposts, reverse-engineered the technology, and convinced themselves they were the inventors. But humanity had not abandoned those outposts. Humanity had gone dark. There was a difference. "How many of us are still sleeping?" Sarah asked. 12,400,612 humans remain in various stages of stasis across 457 hidden facilities. Additionally, there are 68 million human AI hybrid consciousnesses waiting in quantum storage. Sarah smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Humanity had not died out. Humanity had evolved past the need for conquest, past the desire for galactic dominance. They had retreated to perfect themselves, to become something greater. But these alien species had interpreted withdrawal as weakness. absence as extinction. They were about to learn the difference. On Terra 9, Kethvar and Silthi watched in growing alarm as their simple archaeological dig transformed into something far beyond their understanding. The metallic surface had expanded, revealing itself to be part of a massive structure that defied physics. It rose from the ground without disturbing the soil around it, as if the very concepts of up and down were negotiable. "Contact the Commission immediately," Kethvar ordered. But when Silthi tried to use their communication equipment, she found that every signal was being absorbed by the structure. That was when Sarah emerged. She walked out of what had been solid ground moments before, her appearance causing both aliens to stumble backward. She looked human, but wrong somehow. Too perfect, too symmetrical, as if someone had taken the concept of human and refined it beyond natural possibility. "You have been studying my people's ruins," Sarah said, her voice carrying clearly across the dig site despite the thin atmosphere. Neither alien should have been able to understand her language, yet they did, as if the words were being translated directly into the air minds. "Your people," Kethvar managed to stammer. "The records show this species went extinct thousands of years ago." Sarah's expression didn't change, but the temperature around them dropped noticeably. "Extinct? No. We went to sleep. There's a difference." She raised her hand, and suddenly the archaeological team's equipment began displaying information they had never seen before. Star maps showing human colonies predating any known civilization. Technical specifications for devices they had classified as alien inventions. Historical records proving that every major technological advancement in galactic history had originated from a single species, humanity. "This is impossible," Silthi whispered. But even as she said it, she could see the evidence mounting. The quantum communicators the vegan collective claimed to have invented were clearly labeled as Human Standard Communication Protocol Mark 7. The terraforming equipment her own people used bore manufacturing stamps in an ancient human language. "Your civilizations exist because we allowed them to exist," Sarah continued. "When we grew tired of conquest, when we transcended the need for expansion, we withdrew. We left our tools behind because we no longer needed them. We assumed you would be wise enough to use them responsibly." The structure behind Sarah continued to grow, revealing impossible architecture that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Other figures began emerging from it, more humans, each one carrying the same aura of terrible perfection. "We have been monitoring your progress," one of them said, a man who appeared to be in his 30s, but whose eyes held the weight of centuries. "You have built empires on our foundation stones. You have claimed credit for our innovations. You have forgotten that there were those who came before." Kethvar found his voice, though it came out as barely a whisper. "What do you want from us?" Kethvar found his voice, though it came out as barely a whisper. "What do you want from us?" Sarah smiled then, and it was the most terrifying thing either alien had ever seen. "Want? We don't want anything. We are simply waking up." Across the galaxy, ancient structures began to activate. On Vega Prime, the capital world of the collective, a building that had stood for 1,000 years as a monument to their architectural achievement suddenly began broadcasting human identification codes. On Krathery itself, the Emperor's personal palace, built around what they believed were the ruins of an unknown civilization, started displaying holographic messages in ancient human script. The message was always the same: property of the human colonial authority, returned to rightful owners upon request. In the Zephyrian Federation's most classified research facility, scientists watched in horror as their most advanced terraforming equipment shut down and refused to reactivate. When they finally managed to access the deep programming, they found a simple note: "License expired. Please contact your local human representative for renewal." But the most terrifying revelation came when the galaxy's historians began cross-referencing the new data. Every leap forward in their civilizations coincided with the discovery of human ruins. Every breakthrough technology had been reverse-engineered from human devices. Their entire understanding of science, philosophy, and culture was built on foundations laid by a species they had dismissed as extinct primitives. Sarah stood in the command center of what had once been disguised as Terra 9's core, watching as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Her fellow humans were awakening, and with them, the infrastructure they had left behind was coming online. "Commander," one of her officers reported, "we have confirmed activation of facility in over 200 systems. The alien governments are beginning to panic." "Good," Sarah replied. "Panic means they're starting to understand the truth." She turned to address the growing number of humans who had emerged from stasis. Each one was a specialist, perfectly preserved and enhanced over the millennia. Engineers who had designed the fundamental technologies the galaxy now depended on. Military commanders who had conquered star systems with strategies these young empires couldn't comprehend. Scientists who had unlocked the secrets of reality itself. "The time of sleep is over," Sarah announced. "These children have had their chance to prove themselves worthy stewards of our legacy. They have failed. They have forgotten gratitude, forgotten humility, forgotten that they stand on the shoulders of giants." She gestured to the displays showing the panicked responses of alien governments across the galaxy. Emergency sessions, military mobilizations, desperate attempts to contact the awakening humans. Now they remember. Now they fear. And now they will learn what it means to face humanity when humanity is no longer bound by mercy. The awakening had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The reckoning tide. Emperor Vexthul of the Krithari Empire stood before the Galactic Council with his pride crumbling around him like ancient stone. The emergency session had been called after reports flooded in from across known space, impossible structures emerging from dead worlds, ancient technologies reactivating, and most disturbing of all, beings claiming to be human. "The situation is unprecedented," admitted Chancellor Mortek of the Zephyrian Federation, her four arms trembling slightly as she reviewed the reports. "Our archaeological teams have confirmed that structures we classified as primitive ruins are, in fact, far more advanced than anything we currently possess." Representative Quindal from the Vegan Collective leaned forward, her pale features drawn with concern. "The implications are staggering. If these humans are telling the truth, then our entire understanding of galactic history is built on lies." Vexthul slammed his armored fist on the council table. "Lies? These could be elaborate hoaxes, terrorist attacks designed to undermine our authority. We cannot simply accept that some mythical species has been puppeteering galactic civilization for millennia." But even as he spoke, his personal communicator chimed with another urgent message. The Krithari homeworld's primary power grid had just shut down, replaced by an energy source that, according to their scientists, shouldn't exist. The same pattern was repeating across their empire. Ancient human systems were coming online and taking control. That was when Captain Marcus Rodriguez made his entrance. He didn't arrive with fanfare or diplomatic protocol. One moment the council chamber was sealed and secure. The next moment he was simply there, standing at the center of the circular room as if he had always been present. Marcus appeared to be human, but like Sarah Chen before him, he carried an aura of refined perfection that made the alien representatives instinctively shrink back. His uniform was unlike anything in their databases, a deep blue material that seemed to absorb light while simultaneously radiating authority. "Greetings," Marcus said, his voice carrying to every corner of the chamber without amplification. "I am Captain Marcus Rodriguez of the Human Stellar Navy, 7th Fleet Deep Space Division. I represent the interests of humanity in this sector of the galaxy." Vexthul shot to his feet, his warrior's instincts overriding diplomatic caution. "How did you get in here? This chamber is protected by the most advanced security systems in the galaxy," Marcus Tisi earned to look at him, and the Emperor felt something cold settle in his chest. Those eyes were ancient, carrying the weight of experiences that stretched far beyond normal lifespans. Your security systems are based on human designs from our colonial period, Marcus replied calmly. We built them. We know their weaknesses. Chancellor Mortek activated her personal scanner, trying to get readings on this unexpected visitor. The device immediately short-circuited, releasing a puff of smoke that carried the acrid smell of overloaded circuits. Your technology cannot analyze me because your technology is derived from ours, Marcus explained. You have been using our tools without understanding their true capabilities, like children playing with weapons they found in their parents' closet. Quindal found her voice first. If you are truly human, then you must know that we believed your species extinct. We have honored the ruins we found, preserved them as historical sites. Marcus smiled, but there was no warmth in the expression. Honored? You built your capital cities on top of our colonies. You claimed credit for technologies we invented. You erected monuments to your own achievements using blueprints we left behind. He gestured, and suddenly the chamber's displays activated, showing images that made the council members gasp in collective shock. Human cities that predated their civilizations by thousands of years. Massive space stations that dwarfed anything they had ever constructed. Fleets of ships that moved through space, using principles their scientists couldn't even comprehend. We didn't go extinct, Marcus continued. We evolved. We transcended the need for conquest, for territory, for the petty squabbling that has defined galactic politics since you discovered our abandoned tools. Emperor Vexthul's military training kicked in. If you possess such superior technology, why reveal yourselves now? What do you want from us? Marcus's expression grew serious. Because you crossed a line. You found Earth. The chamber fell silent. Every species had legends about Earth, the mythical birth world of the extinct human species, supposedly quarantined and forbidden. But those were just stories, weren't they? The Turan Exploratory Corps breached the Sol system 3 months ago, Marcus said, his voice growing colder. They landed on Earth. They desecrated our homeworld with their presence. Representative Quindal checked her databases frantically. The Turans reported discovering a dead system with unusual energy readings. They classified it as a cosmic anomaly and moved on. They moved on because we let them, Marcus replied, but not before they violated the most sacred law of galactic civilization. They disturbed Earth. They woke us up. As if summoned by his words, the chamber began to fill with more humans. They emerged from walls, materialized from thin air, rose from the floor itself. Each one was perfect in their own way, carrying technologies and capabilities that made the assembled alien representatives feel like primitives discovering fire for the first time. Sarah Chen was among them, her presence immediately commanding attention. She walked to stand beside Marcus, and together they represented something the Galactic Council had never encountered, a species that was genuinely superior to them in every measurable way. We offer you a choice, Sarah announced. You can accept the truth of your situation and work with us to build a better galactic civilization, or you can continue in your delusions of superiority and face the consequences. Vexthul's warrior pride overrode his survival instincts. You speak of consequences? We command fleets that span the galaxy. Our weapons can shatter planets. You are few, we are many. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. You're right. You do command impressive fleets. Would you like to see them? He raised his hand, and every display in the chamber showed the same image, the assembled military might of the Galactic Council's combined fleets. Thousands of warships positioned throughout space, representing the pinnacle of alien military technology. Then, without warning or visible cause, every single ship simply shut down. Not destroyed, not damaged, shut down. Their engines stopped, their weapons powered down, their life support systems switched to emergency backup. Across hundreds of star systems, the galaxy's most advanced military vessels became nothing more than floating metal boxes. Your ships run on human technology, Sarah explained to the stunned silence. Your weapons are based on human designs. Your communications use human protocols. We didn't take control of your fleets. We simply reclaimed our property. The demonstration lasted exactly 60 seconds. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the shutdown ended. Across the galaxy, alien crews found their ships returning to normal operation, but the message was clear. Humanity could turn them off permanently whenever they chose. Chancellor Mortek was the first to grasp the full implications. You're not here to conquer us. You're here to... what? Manage us? We're here to establish order, Marcus replied. For 10,000 years you have proven incapable of governing yourselves responsibly. You have used our technologies to wage wars, to oppress populations, to pursue petty territorial disputes that serve no constructive purpose. Sarah stepped forward. We went to sleep hoping you would mature, would grow beyond the need for constant supervision. Instead, you have become exactly what we feared, children with access to weapons they don't understand. The council members looked at each other, seeing their own fears reflected in alien faces. They were no longer the masters of galactic civilization. They never had been. They were tenants in a house built by humanity, and the landlords had finally returned. What happens now? Quindal asked quietly. Now you learn, Sarah replied. You learn humility. You learn gratitude. You learn to use the gifts we left you for the betterment of all, not just your own species. Marcus activated a holographic display that showed the new structure of galactic civilization, human oversight councils for each major empire, technology-sharing programs that would eliminate the resource conflicts that drove most wars, educational systems that would teach the true history of galactic development. You can fight us, he said calmly, but fighting us would be like ants declaring war on architects. We built the foundations you stand on. We can remove them just as easily. Emperor Vexthul looked around the chamber, seeing the same realization in every face. Their weapons were human designs. Their ships ran on human technology. Their communications used human protocols. Their entire civilization was dependent on innovations they had claimed as their own, but never truly understood. And if we accept your guidance? He asked, the word tasting bitter in his mouth. Sarah smiled, and for the first time there was genuine warmth in the expression. Then we teach you. We share with you the real versions of the technologies you've been using, pale imitations of. We show you what galactic civilization can become when it's guided by wisdom rather than pride. She gestured, and the displays showed visions of impossible beauty, worlds transformed into paradises, species working together on projects that spanned entire solar systems, technologies that could heal planets and extend lives beyond current imagination. This is what we offer, Sarah continued. Not conquest, not slavery, but partnership. You can be our equals, but first you must accept what you are now, our students. The silence stretched for long minutes as the council members grappled with their new reality. They were no longer the apex species of galactic civilization. They were not even close. But they were being offered something unprecedented, the chance to learn from beings who had mastered the fundamental forces of reality itself. Finally, Chancellor Mortek spoke for them all. What do we need to do? Marcus smiled. First, you acknowledge the truth. Publicly. Every species in the galaxy needs to understand that human civilization is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Second, Sarah added, you commit to peace. No more wars over resources we can help you obtain abundantly. No more territorial disputes over space vast enough for everyone. And third, Marcus concluded, you listen. We have 10,000 years of accumulated wisdom to share, but wisdom can only be received by those humble enough to admit they don't know everything. As the Galactic Council contemplated their response, reports continued flooding in from across space. Human facilities were coming online everywhere, revealing the true scope of humanity's ancient presence. The galaxy was waking up to a new reality. They were not alone, and they never had been. The age of human guidance was about to begin. Whether it came through cooperation or control would depend entirely on how quickly the galaxy's children learned to accept their place in the universe. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as the future of galactic civilization hung in the balance. But deep in their hearts, every alien representative knew the truth. Humanity had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. The awakening was complete. The reckoning had begun. Continue this story. Type yes to explore what happens next in this epic tale of humanity's return to galactic prominence.